Wow. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Cool. Well, thanks for entertaining the idea of talking about some things that aren't necessarily all neuro-focused. As we see these experiential technologies being sort of broadly applicable across, a huge variety of categories of applications. And we brought Nirav here today to talk about XTech in industry, which is really, I think, a fascinating and sort of highly productive rollout plan for a lot of these new emerging technologies. So over the last couple of days, we've heard people talk about the platforms, the new headsets that are coming out, augmented reality, virtual reality sensors that are everywhere. We've heard investors talk about things that they're investing in that they believe are going to be some of the compelling use cases for these technologies. Well, one of the coolest ones was still drone racing from yesterday, which is pretty awesome. And then ultimately, how they're going to roll out into the marketplace, I think, remains to be seen. But everybody's very excited to watch this happen. So just quick background. I'm John Spinelli, Jazz Venture Partners. My background is in the media and entertainment space, so I built a lot of consumer applications. So for me, it's fascinating to see what I believe the first uses of ultimately what are great consumer devices like AR and VR to be coming out of industry. And I think it was Tipitat who said it yesterday very well, which was find those use cases where the value of the aggregate application far exceeds that of the VR hardware itself. And that's where Nirav has a wealth of examples that I think it would be great to talk about today. So without any further ado, Nirav Desai, the chief technologist at Booz Allen Hamilton, multi-billion-dollar management consulting firm, and he's the guy who gets to do all the fun stuff there.
There are a few of us, but yeah. Thank you. It's kind of, I want to start with just a quick introduction of Booz Allen. It might be odd to have Booz Allen at this conference. Booz Allen is a 100-year-old consulting firm. As we reached our 100th year, we decided to reinvigorate the brand, change directions a little bit, and really had the great realization that innovation doesn't really only happen within Booz Allen. We really need to start reaching out to the broader community. As part of that, we've established an iHub strategy, innovation hub strategy, and planted several staff in key cities with the explicit purpose of scouting out edge technologies. And more importantly, scouting that and making that available to our enterprise customers and developing use cases that can help, one, startups and innovators get undiluted investment, opportunities for grants, enterprise customers, what have you, to spur that innovation, but then also take the enterprise customers and help them not get disrupted. But rather than getting disrupted, be part of the disruption and take on innovation quicker. So that's kind of why I'm here, and specifically around, we've done a number of things around AR and VR, planning to do a lot more, looking to work with you guys around ways that we could do more, and very excited about the neurotech side of this conference. So.
That's great. And so, I mean, whenever you guys sort of have clientele that spend big dollars on big projects and have been working in the field of AR and VR even for longer than most of us who are viewing it through the consumer lens have even really been aware that AR and VR is around. Maybe it actually might be interesting to talk about sort of some of the larger deployments or use cases that are out there right now.
Sure. So I would say VR has been around for a long time. I actually got my first experience with VR when I was in high school at NASA. Got to work in the mid-90s on a maybe earlier, on a great project around that they were experimenting with. So the DoD has been involved, NASA's been involved in virtual reality for a long time. Within the Army, there are large room-scale training platforms where they actually can test out hardware and projection systems. That's been around for a while. What is new and what's particularly interesting now is that the scale and the consumerization of the technology has gone to the point where there's going to be a whole new ways of interacting. Use cases exist right now, and we're very interested in figuring out how we can modernize those use cases with new technology, but also see what the new use cases are.
So that's, to me, is fascinating. The idea that the military is moving from building bespoke VR projection simulation centers to entertaining the idea of using consumer-grade VR like the Vive. That is just, a huge kind of transformation. Maybe talk about a couple applications in that world,
So,
if you can,
yeah,
without killing me.
we'll deal with that later.
Okay.
So one of the great applications that we're working on right now is I'm not a submariner, but I was very surprised to learn that submarines drive blind. There's not visibility under the ocean, and they're largely still working on 2D topographical maps. If you've gone hiking, it's either the concentric rings around the mountain that you're climbing to tell the elevation gain. We got one of our
So wait, 2D paper maps with nuclear submarines?
yes,
Okay, just got it.
they're good though. They're very thorough.
Okay.
Of course, that creates a challenge. Where are the commercial shipping lanes? You don't want to submerge into a cargo vessel, and they have many procedures in place to make sure that doesn't happen. But we thought, why don't we take this into three dimensions, help them map all this bathymetric geospatial data in a 3D environment, and then we could overlay a variety of data points on top of it: buoys, the sensors, commercial shipping traffic, hazards, what have you. So product that we're developing called Ocean Lens actually does this, and we built it on the Oculus DK2, and it's currently in various demonstration labs throughout the DoD.
I can't imagine how hard it is to actually transition a client from 2D paper maps into the world of VR.
They have to experience it.
Yeah.
It's not something you talk about, so.
Yeah, and ultimately, what are the input systems for this, if you call it like a flight simulator for underwater, for submariners?
So it could be anything, right? I mean, so NOAA and NASA both have the Whirlwind database of bathymetric data. There's additional data sources that I should not talk to that have more detail. So, worldwide coverage. We're actually working right now with the University of Washington as well to build a live data stream. So you could actually take video and overlay reality on a virtual reality world to form a kind of a reverse augmented reality. Idea there is around underwater construction.
And what do the user inputs look like?
So right now we're not dealing with controls. I'm leaving that to you guys to help us figure that out. We're starting with mission planning and simulation, but the advances in terms of VR controls are moving faster than we're able to keep up with. So I would say the game industry is really going to lead the way in that. And whatever standard emerges, and whether it's gestures in the air, holding the Vive controller, we'll see, and we'll adopt that into what makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. And then, as you guys think about deploying, like you're selling things into the government or Fortune 500 companies, and you're just deploying these products out in the wild. I think we've all had enough VR demos to get like, okay, here's what it needs to do, or here's where it's weak in the input systems. But like beyond that, what does it take to actually deploy one of these to a real customer who's paying you real millions of dollars to use this kind of new cutting edge stuff?
Sure. So VR is not unlike any other software development enterprise solution. Once you get to the enterprise level, the UI is very different, and the usability is a major constraint, which I think there's a lot of discussion around that. But there's also some interesting other constraints that come up: privacy, security. You likely are distributing location data that might be sensitive. You could be integrating a variety of sensors that you want to protect the transmission between that sensitive data going back and forth, and frankly, rights around digital video rights. So there's a whole variety of things. The cybersecurity angle of VR and AR are tremendous. And I could go into more details if you like. But,
what might like an application of that look like in the wild? Like what?
So we have a investment right now called the Connected Worker, and part of that is actually looking at a healthcare platform let's say you're a doctor. You are, it's great. You have an augmented reality system to help you in surgery. You have a tablet where you have your patient medical records on, but you're having lunch in the cafeteria, and you leave your tablet there. Now that in current world, all that patient data is now potentially compromised. We're working on a solution right now to help make sure that it's encrypted end to end, and you only have access to data when you're at the patient's table or bed that is relevant for that. Clearly that has a number of different applications, but geolocation-specific de-encryption of data to help both on the augmented virtual reality side, but also on the tablet, build that infrastructure backbone around that.
That's cool. And where do you guys get ideas for VR projects? Like where does this all come from? How does a massive consulting firm even kind of dip their toe into this new world of startups and hackers and?
That's going back to the earlier, it took us a long time to figure out we don't have all the answers. And as we figured that out, we kind of became addicted to that. So we really try to reach out to to the broader innovation community. We've hosted a number of hackathons on particular topics. And part of what we try to do is not just have a hackathon around technology, but try to get some clients there. So recently we had a hackathon with the VA focused on post-traumatic brain injury and PTSD in San Francisco and in Austin, looking at ways to leverage technologies to help address these two issues. We brought the VA there. We also brought a number of mentors to help the attendees understand the data sets and the problems and the science behind it, and then also a data platform for them to work off of.
Wow, sounds very cool. Hackathon for the VA. Speaking of hackathon, I know we actually need to announce the award winners from the hackathon that Zach and the XTech team had over the weekend, hacking away. How are we doing on time? Do we have time for questions, or do we need to move to the hackathon recipients? Okay. And without further ado, I want to actually say thank you to Nirav. I know we could be talking here for quite some time about all the cool uses of AR and VR and XTech in industry. There are infinite numbers of examples, but I don't want to hold things up as the trains must run on time. Thank you.
Thank you.